Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our Shorts Focus and a live Q&A for the Shorts program Black. This will be available on demand until midnight, Sunday, October 25th. We'll be taking some questions from the viewers as well, so be sure to ask your questions in the chat. Thank you to our presenting partners, Crave, our screening partner, York University. My name is Adam Piron. I'm Kiowa and Mohawk, and I'm one of the guest programmers at imagineNATIVE 2020. Joining me today are Kath Akuhata-Brown. I don't think Julian is here. Tom Mcleod, Marja Bål Nango, Ingir Bål Nango, Morningstar isn't here, Sunna Nousuniemi, and Maxy, as well as and Holmgren. We're going to start with a round of intros. So Kath, let's start with you. And if you could say, if all of you, if you could say what nation you're from and where you're located, as well as the title of your film.
My name is Kath Akuhata-Brown. I am an Aotearoa. I come from the people of Ngāti Porou. My film is Purea. Kia ora.
And Tom, how about yourself?
Yep. Hello, my name is Tom Mcleod. I'm Inuvialuq from the Invalid Settlement region, Mcleod, Northwest Territories. And my film is Greed Story.
Marja and Ingir?
Yes, my name is Marja Bål Nango, and I'm a Sami located in Galkojavli/Skibotn in Norway. And me and Ingir, we have made This Is Fiction 19.
Yeah, and we have to mention that we are sisters too, just for the fun.
Yeah, and it's our mother who's acting in it.
That's awesome. Sunna, how about yourself?
Pures. My name is Sunna Nousuniemi, and I come from Inari, Sápmi, and I made the film gáidat, máhccat, and in the background you might be hearing my puppy whimpering, so sorry about that.
Anne, how about yourself?
I just have to unmute me. My name is Anne, and I'm a Sami living in the southern part of Norway. And my film is called Spring 2020.
And Fox, how about yourself?
My name is Maxy. I am Kumiai Pomkowichum from San Diego, and my film is called San Diego.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thanks everyone for joining us. Again, too, if you have any questions for anybody tuning in, feel free to put them in the chat. We can get to them in a little bit. But I just wanted to start off with a quick question for all of you, and maybe we'll start with Kath first, and then I'll sort of guide it through every single one of you. But one of the things that I really love about this program is that it's so visually striking, and it says so much about all of the different communities and some of the storytelling traditions that you guys are tapping into. I was wondering, Kath, with you, and then also with all of you as well too, how did you draw from your own culture in order to sort of either make or to use a type of cinematic language for the story you were telling?
Kia ora, Adam, thank you. When we meet each other for the first time, we say to each other who we are, where our mountain is, what river we come from, and who our people are. So really Purea is that introduction visualized. Layered into that, of course, is another story. But in the end, it's an elder lady who's saying, this is my river, these are my people, and this is my mountain.
Tom, how about yourself?
For the visuals, it was really collaborative between the animator, Darcy Bernhardt, and I. We got together, and I had already recorded the story and the audio for the piece, and we kind of sat down together and worked it out that it would, with a kind of darker story, a sort of charcoal look would really go well. And whether we want to do it digitally or by hand. And this piece is hand animated frame by frame. And it was kind of a back and forth between myself and the animator.
Marja and Ingir, how about yourself? How did your culture specifically sort of work towards the cinematic language that you used for the story you guys told?
Yeah, so this fiction is a black comedy where we see an alcoholic Sami lady who is very fed up with COVID-19. And it's not so many angles, it's only 3 angles in the whole film. And we kind of play on the documentary style. So it can maybe feels like a mockumentary even. It's very steady camera and we're kind of watching the Sami lady going nuts. So it's almost feels like it's a documentary, and also people have believed that it is documentary.
Yeah, they have really thought that we were filming some lady like in secret. So yeah.
So we had to state to people who have seen it that no, it's actually fiction. And that's also why we named it This is Fiction 19, because we knew kind of the way we filmed it and how our mother is acting, and that people would believe that it's a documentary.
Sunna, how about yourself?
So I started working with my film in this workshop that was directed for Sami youth to discuss mental health and suicides in the Arctic. And it was a 2-day workshop, but I missed one of the days. So I wrote this text, which is kind of like a poem. And later I decided to work on the film when I went to film school in this Sami University of Applied Sciences, and I was really struggling to make the storyboard for the film. And then I started going through my hard drive and decided to use some footages that I've been shot during the past few years. And then I started working on with a cinematographer. I didn't have any script. I just said that we will go to a room with a baseball bat and some stuff to break. And that was really experimental. And I didn't use that much of that footage, but it was really healing for me to try to figure out how to tell the story. And then I also used few clips from this Red Line protest that is against this colonial project called the Arctic Railway. So it's kind of like a documentary in a way, but I guess it's more like an experimental story after all.
And how about yourself?
Well, I'm living in the southern part of Norway. That means that I'm living in a nature that isn't at all as my home place. And during Corona lockdown, my children were home and everything, and I went out into the nature with them and my camera, and I try to get into the landscape that isn't really mine in a way. And then eventually, after a while, we got a question from the Sami Institute to make a portrait of our time at home, and I had already started. So it was really a project that was with me during all lockdown. And I think that, in a way, I think that I was coming, for me, it was like I was coming home in this landscape with my original view on that we belong to nature, in a way, yeah.
That's great, thank you. Fox, how about yourself?
I made this film very much out of a place of not having certain things, and you know, making a narrative film is not accessible for me, and I didn't grow up with my culture, so that didn't feel accessible to me. So San Diego is really more just me asking questions and looking for the right direction to ask these questions at. And I think kind of survival and figuring out your place in the world is very much part of all of our cultures, but you know, very much part of my cultures too. So that's how it relates.
Cool. We did have a question from somebody tuning in. It's for Marja and Ingir. They're asking, what was it like working with your mom as an actress? Did that present any unique challenges or opportunities?
Wow, it was so fun to work with her. We laughed the whole time behind the camera. You know, we were like this. So yeah, Marja.
And our mother is like an artist, and she's improvised almost all the dialogue. So we didn't know what she was going to say when we were filming. So it was really like a journey for us also, because even though she knew she was going to improvise, she went like totally off script and just started. So she kind of, to be honest, she has kind of made up the film as we filmed, because she didn't follow like what we planned, and it became even better.
But I would say that we three we improvised the film together, you know, because we had to, you know, find
we planned, like we structured the film because we shot in 2 different angles, so we structured the whole thing, what was supposed to happen, but she added her own humor. So no, it was really a really nice collaboration between us 3, and also the dog is there doing its own thing during the shoot. So it was just a really fun experience, and she has a very comedic timing. Timing wise, she's very good at making it both sad and fun. But she hasn't acted in so many films, so one thing that she learned very fast was that we had to do it many times. So she was like, why did we do it again? It was so good. So she was kind of new in that part of the film world. She didn't understand how many times you have to do it again. So I think she was surprised over that way of working, because she's not like a trained actress in any way, but she has very good acting skills naturally. So me and Ingir and Mother, we always talk, how can we use her talent in other films?
Yeah, so we are like fantasizing about maybe we can make a feature with her, like something. Yeah.
Sometime in the future.
Yeah.
That's cool. We have another question from someone tuning in. They were asking the framing of all the scenes and the different sort of sequences that you guys have were really interesting and seem to play a bigger role in terms of these pieces. For example, they talked about the rainbow in Purea, or the on-camera versus off-camera scenes in Fiction 19, and the choice of what to capture with the animation in Greed Story. Can you each speak to the approach that you have in terms of framing your scenes and deciding what to capture? So Kath, we'll start with you, and then I'll kind of bring it through everyone.
Yeah, the landscape was really important. I mean, in terms of the rainbow, that actually happened as we sent the drone up. So there was no effects in the film whatsoever. And we made a conscious choice, by we, I mean myself and our DOP, to bring the landscape into the film alongside the character to show the connection and the relationship between both. So that's why we framed it that way. And everything that occurred organically.
Marja and Ingir, how about yourself?
Yeah, so our film, it was made originally for a time capsule project for the COVID films. So we made it during the lockdown period, and we only had our personal equipment. So we only had 2 lenses to shoot with. So we had to kind of choose the framing based on what kind of lenses we had, how close we could get, or how far away, because we didn't have so many close lenses. So we had to go very far away, and that made it actually like limited how we could shoot it, but that also made us kind of creative. And even though it's very like only 3 angles, I think they're very stylistic and very like beautiful in that cabin, and it made it kind of also like we had to be more creative when we had so limited options for the shoot, because it's only 3 people who were on the set. That was me, Ingir, and our mother, and then our dog also. So we had very limited resources and limited possibilities, but that made it more, how do you say, fulfilling also to work on, because we had to really try very many different angles before we found the right 2 angles.
And we have to mention that we shot it in 1 day, so
yeah, and
yeah.
And also, we only figured out the film the day before the shoot.
Yeah.
So very limited in resources and time, actually.
That's great. Tom, how about yourself?
With the story, we really tried to put the viewer into sort of a specific time and place. Darcy Bernhardt and I, the animator, are both from the Invalid Settlement region. So we're sort of more river Inuit than sort of island or sea ice Inuit. And we sort of had that experience of being on the rivers and fishing and living in this sort of environment, albeit in a different time. And we really tried to bring that across in the visuals for the film and for the more sort of visceral human bits. It was kind of just a go at it. We knew what we were going to do, and it was just a matter of sort of hammering it out, because with animation you can kind of go any way, anywhere, but because it was hand drawn, we obviously had we only had so much manpower and so much time. So we sort of came up with this idea of being able to blow away things, because with charcoal, it's a thing you can do where things would smudge out and smudge in. And it was sort of the sort of framing of things were decided by our restrictions, which I think is a way that a lot of great filmmaking happens, is working within your restriction. And for this one, we sort of had to give ourselves a restriction working in animation.
Sunna, how about yourself?
Can you repeat the question? Sorry, I couldn't hear you. It's muted.
Yeah, Adam doesn't have the microphone on.
Yeah, sorry about that. The question was, how did you approach framing your scenes and deciding what to capture?
Well, this is actually my first short film that I've ever written or directed, so I really didn't have any plan for the framing or anything. I just felt like not really showing like full images, only like glimpses and parts of faces and people. So it's like my goal was to make people think who is the person, who's the person talking in the film, and who is the one who is going through suicide ideation. And it's, yeah, I kind of wanted to keep it kind of messy in a way, because it's also my personal depiction, how it feels like to live with post-traumatic stress disorder, like when you are going through a flashback episode or having a trigger. So it's also about that. So I guess that is kind of that directed my framing to kind of visualize what I go inside myself when I'm in that post-traumatic episode.
Anne, how about yourself?
Yeah, I think that the way my pictures are framed is really just the way I regard the world. When I was a child, I used to go down on the reindeer lichen or whatever, you know, the moss that grows, and I was imagining that I was walking inside of that, building up small worlds. So it's kind of, I like to use lenses and pictures that make me come really close to what I'm filming. So I suppose my film is also part of like a time capsule when it comes to Corona time, and that was the way I was looking at life during that time, and that was the way it ended up looking because of that.
Fox, how about yourself?
I think it's interesting because my film it sounds like a lot of you approach it in similar ways, where it's like it's just pieces of things, and a lot of us don't have necessarily like the same preparation process or like these long pre-production phases where we just have to piece together what we have. And that's very much what it was for me. Like a lot of it is not just my own tribal territory. Like I tried to include places and people that I love and be conscious of that. And also like my film is about colonialism and quarantine. And so it's very current and very much about like how individuals deal with these things and deal with where we're at right now. So it's just pieces.
We have a late addition that is joining us for the Q&A. We have Joshua Baker from Baikal Maori, and thanks for joining us. And yeah, I guess the question for you is, how did you choose what to frame within your film?
Kia ora. Thank you so much. I want to thank imagineNATIVE so much for accepting my short film. Sorry, my cousin is driving at the moment. We're driving down south here in New Zealand. So yeah, forgive me. So with my short film, Vairako Māori, I wanted to ensure that there was a piece of our kukiara history that is at least recorded. And the subject is my father, so it was quite simple to piece it together with him. So I sat with him and we talked about you know, traditional kukaila Māori medicine that isn't really practiced anymore. And lucky enough, he was willing to share this ancient Indigenous knowledge with me. And you know, sitting with him and going through the process, it was quite mesmerizing, because it made me, it kind of transported me back to, you know, my ancestors and how they performed quite these, you know, these miraculous feats with, you know, healing each other through the land and through the oceans as well. So yeah, I kind of just sat with my dad, and you know, we went through that process of figuring it out. What was a simple way to capture it. So yeah, I hope that answers the question. Thank you.
Yeah, it does. Thanks everyone for joining us today. Be sure to join Nikki Little, who will be hosting the next feature focus for Semillas de Lucha. There'll be a live Q&A at 2 p.m. and on this platform. I invite you to come back and join me and the artists as we continue with some exciting programs. And be sure to check out the website each day for the festival schedule and all the good things we have planned. And on that note, thank you again for joining us, and enjoy the festival.